The last video I did was about the mindset needed to be confident, but today's video, I'm going to take a more practical approach on how to be confident when you play live, to assure that when you do play right, that your sets get a really great response and you walk away feeling really great about it. So number one, okay, preparation. Now that means knowing the event, having the right kind of music for the event, perhaps even a playlist to fall back on. Now, without a doubt, right, the key to confidence when playing live, okay, it's being prepared, okay, and in truth, that is kind of a video in itself, especially I could do one actually. Let me know if you want. I could do the art of preparing a killer DJ set. So let me know in the comments if you want that, and I'll endeavor to bust one out in the next few weeks. But just quickly on it though, first of all, preparation, okay, and that is you want to turn up with the right kind of music for that event. Now, I have heard people on YouTube, okay, and even other teachers actually say that they prepare a playlist when they're playing in a club, and they basically put the tracks in a specific order and they play that playlist the exact way they've practiced it from start to finish. And even though that may work for festival DJs who most likely take on a I do what I want attitude, but when playing local shows, okay, you have to read the crowd. And in the past, I've turned up with pre-planned sets only to find out that the night had a really different vibe to what I prepared for. And honestly, if that happens to you, you have two options. Number one, you continue with your pre-planned set despite no one responding to it, like you've cleared your dance floor, okay? Or if that's the case, you've cleared your floor, they're not responding to it, break free from your planned set, and you need to start testing the waters with music to see what people there are responding to. And you have to play for the people there and then build it up. Now, 100% right, that may sound daunting, especially to a beginner, but the more you play, the easier it becomes. And sure, having a playlist you can start with and you can fall back on, okay, it's great, okay? But you have to be open to adapting your strategy if your set isn't working. And in my experience, it usually means probably people wanting more commercial music or something they know. And then the real challenge becomes finding a balance between what the crowd wants, what staying true to the promoter's goal for the event. And also, you've got to stay true to, your own sound and the style that you want to be known for. Okay, so number two, okay, invite people. Now, these days, DJs double as promoters, and the DJs with the biggest fan bases will get the most opportunities, period, okay? So think of it this way. You could quite possibly be able to DJ at the same level, maybe even better than the biggest DJs in the world, okay? Especially if you do my course, okay? But what separates them from you is two things. They may have produced their own tracks that have reached a certain level of recognition and success, putting them on the map. And number two, they've got a shit ton of fans, okay? See, the more fans you have and the more people that go to a club, to go to a show, especially to see you, the more you're worth to promoters. So until you earn fans inside the club, you have to invite your friends and use your events as an opportunity or even as an excuse to throw a party and invite everyone out, okay? Make an event out of it. And if your dance floor is full when you play, it's going to help you to feel more confident, and there's going to be an amazing energy in the room for you to bounce off and interact with. It's such a good feeling. Now, too many times I've seen really talented DJs playing to empty dance floors inside rooms, okay? And if you ask me, they simply got the balance wrong. They probably put all their attention onto preparing their set and zero attention onto promoting their set and creating a buzz for it. See, you need your sets to be a social occasion people look forward to. And the bigger the atmosphere in the room when you play, the more people are going to notice and be like, wow, man, and it's just becomes super magnetic and you attract a lot more opportunities. So number three, if you're nervous about things potentially going wrong, the best advice is to arrive early and check out the setup, okay? So one of the worst things that could happen is you turn up 5 minutes before your show and you go to put your USB in and perhaps you didn't load the USB properly and your tracks aren't loading, or perhaps you only showed up with one USB and the venue doesn't have a link cable, and meaning you need one USB per player, and just silly things like that. But it does happen. So my advice, ask the promoter in advance if you can arrive at the venue 10 minutes before the doors even open to give yourself a chance to check out the system when the lights are still on, okay? Load up your USBs, do a sound check, okay? And make sure you're just familiar with the gear and you know what you're getting yourself into. You know what you're walking into when it's dark and the pressure's on. And if it's your first time using club gear, no stress, man. All DJ gear operates in the same way. And if you're unsure, I honestly have a whole section in my Club Ready course about making the jump from controller to club with effortless ease. So check out the link in the description below for that, as it's pretty cool. But I also suggest, okay, using USBs and not trying to connect your computer to the club gear. Okay, see, trust me, using USBs, even though it might not seem so at first, maybe you're unfamiliar with it, but it's easier. And quite often, if you're at a club and music's gone quiet between a changeover, it's usually some DJ trying to connect their computer to their mixer, finding out the firmware is not compatible, and they're like, and honestly, it's kind of embarrassing. So honestly, USBs, it's easier. Just go put them in and you're good to go. Okay, so number 4, drinking and substances. Okay, so most people deal with nerves by hitting substances. Okay, and sure, a couple of drinks probably will help you to feel a little bit more confident short time, and it may even give you the courage to take more risks. But honestly, the downside of it is, if you drink and play a really good set, you may start to believe the only way you play a good set is if you drink, and then that introduces the possibility of negative habits. So for instance, you can only have a good time if you drink, okay? And you start associating alcohol to your successes, and before long, you could have a serious problem, okay? Now, personally, I've DJ'd in all kinds of states, okay? Yes, okay, I've had a lot of good and bad experiences, but I can say one thing for certain. When it all became too much for me, okay, I decided to quit, okay? And I was sober for 7 years. And to be honest, that's when myself as a promoter and a DJ, it took off for me, okay? I was DJing more, I was making less mistakes, and honestly, my high was a natural high off the music and the atmosphere, and better yet, I could wake up the next day without regrets, and in turn, I felt more confident in myself as a DJ and a promoter, and no doubt people took me more seriously, and things, like I said, it really started to unfold, and I built more confidence. So number 5, deep breathing. Now, okay, so this is honestly advice that you're never going to hear on any other DJ channel, but the key to confidence and remaining calm and centered, it's honestly developing a deep breathing practice, especially before you play. So in last week's video, okay, I talked about your energy introducing you before you even said a word, okay? So here's the thing. How you breathe plays a huge role in that. So for instance, when you're anxious, okay, people often do really shallow breaths, okay, or they breathe erratically, okay, and honestly, it can affect their behavior. It's like, wow, okay, anyway. However, right, the really cool thing is, as soon as you become like, aware of that, it can be turned around by simply focusing on your breath and deepening your breaths. Now, personally, I don't wait to get anxious before initiating deep breaths, okay? I prevent it in the first place by doing a deep breathing practice before I even leave my house. Actually, before every single major event I ever played, honestly, and pretty much actually most days of my life, I practice some form of conscious breathing, and a breathing pattern I found particularly useful, okay? And that is to breathe in, okay? It's a pattern, so you breathe in for 1 count, hold for 4 counts, and breathe out for 2 counts. So let's say you want to do a single breath cycle, okay? 1 breath in 30 seconds. That means you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold, be relaxed for 16 seconds, and you breathe out for 8 seconds. See, it's still that 1, 4, 2 count, right? But multiplied by 4. So 4 in, hold for 16, out for 8. Now, personally, I do 1 breath a minute, okay? And that means I breathe in for 8 seconds, hold for 32 seconds, and then breathe out for 16 seconds. And I aim for 10 breaths in 10 minutes and sit there with a stopwatch, okay? While listening to like meditation beats on YouTube, and I go into a trance state and I get really relaxed, okay? And the secret is to go inwards, focus on your breath, relax, and by doing 10 minutes of controlled breathing, it actually slows down the sympathetic nervous system and sets you up for the day or the night ahead. It slows everything down. It gets you in a really controlled place. And now, if you have any doubts, just Google benefits of deep breathing, and honestly, you're going to notice a multitude of benefits, many of them to do with reducing nerves and achieving balance, okay? And that's going to help your confidence, no doubt. And it's also going to help your inner magnetism come to life, and people are going to feel supported and even comfortable in your presence, and that's what you want, okay? Now, personally, I'm also into the Wim Hof method, where you do 30 quick deep breaths, okay, to fully oxygenate your body, and then on the last breath, you do a half breath out, and then you hold your breath, okay? Now, in my opinion, that always puts me into a meditative state, and it's 100% worth checking out if you're a breathing enthusiast. On the topic of centered energy, I also saw a TED talk about confidence, and they spoke about expanding your energy by doing a superhero stance, okay, for a few minutes or even like this, okay? And they did experiments, and they said the people that did that, okay, they stood like this probably, right, before a job interview and expanded their energy, they always got the job over the people that didn't do it. And I guess when you think about it, this relates to physiology, meaning if you hunch over and keep your head down, and people may see you as nervous and closed, especially when you're playing right, you know, it doesn't come across that great. But if you've got your chest out, your chin up, and, you know, people associate that with confidence. So honestly, okay, chest out, chin up, you know, deep breaths, okay? All this stuff's going to contribute to your confidence. Now, the most important thing though is to commit to enjoying yourself no matter what happens, okay? So if you're standing behind the decks, head down, looking nervous and uncomfortable, then that can honestly have a ripple effect on your whole dance floor. So if you want people to get into the music, and let's say your floor's a bit, you know, not going too great, perhaps, man, if you want them to get into it, perhaps you should too, okay? And I suggest perhaps watching DJ footage of people that you're into and see how they hold themselves on stage when they're playing live, and maybe copy their moves. But one word of advice, so perhaps don't copy my moves. And you know, there's having fun and then there's having fun. And you may want to show some kind of restraint, or people might not see you as being cool, okay? I've given up on trying to be cool a long time ago, and anyway. Ooh, okay, so now, last but not least, I suggest taking a pad and some pens, and at the top of the page, write the word request. See, because here's the thing. Quite often clubs are full of wasted people, and quite often some of these people are adamant about telling you what they think you should be doing or what you should be playing for the sake of the party. Now the truth is, it can get annoying, and they're super persistent. So when approached by people, just hand them the request pad and get them to write any messages down. This avoids having to try and hear them over the music, which can sometimes take you out of your flow state, which is honestly the most important thing. So just be like, man, sorry, I can't hear, just write it down and go back and do what you do. So anyway, okay, so hopefully you got some useful tips from this, and if you did and you like the way I teach, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you never miss a beat. And if you feel you'd benefit from a more organized approach, please check out my Club Ready DJ course. I'll put a link in the description below. So anyway, okay, man, woo, much love, man. Just having fun here. Hopefully you guys can get some stuff from this, but you know, yeah, love sharing what I know, doing what I love. Hopefully you can too.